Here we go. Salute to Knicks Nation Wednesday night. Knicks special edition of our NBA Draft Prospect Series. Special guest. We finally got him, Jay Ellis. Spencer Perlman of the Stepien. Was an NBA draft advisor to the Phoenix Suns last year and was a guest on this show, Jay Ellis. We had Spencer on this show last year to break down some of his film on some of these draft prospects, and we're here this year again. So, Spencer, welcome back, man. Good to see you, bro.
Really? Even Michael, the hair's so long.
Hey,
Still
listen,
good to
man.
see you with
Everybody's in their quarantine struggles, man. Everybody's on their Wolverine flow right now, man.
It's good to be back, though. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. All things considered, man. Definitely good to be talking hoops. So let's get right into it with this NBA draft. One of the guys who we didn't cover yet on our prospect series was James Wiseman. Very much maligned in terms of the opinions. The opinions are very polarizing on this kid, on what he can be and what his ceiling is. We did hear this week that the Warriors were souring on him if they potentially get the number one pick. What is the issue that the scouts are having with Wiseman in terms of, projecting where he could be? Is it the lack of playing time, evidence, game tape, or is he being, kind of pigeonholed as the, rim runner, elite shot blocker, but not really that prototypical four that we're looking for in today's NBA? What do you think about Wiseman?
I mean, two things. One, I think it's his skill level and what he can bring to the table and just how replaceable that kind of is. And two, I mean, I don't really think the game film helps him that much for this year compared to like what we've had in the past, because like if you compare stuff from this year at Memphis, where Coach Hardaway did a great job kind of keeping him boxed into like that paint-ish area, except took like 3 or 4 free throw line jumpers. Compare that to his AAU stuff, it's night and day. And that this year he was actually playing his role and like sticking to his strengths. And last year he was, making these Kristaps and every other type of unicornish
bid. I mean, in high school, how did he shoot it in high school?
I mean, so high school is not something that, like, when you have the big matchups, there's something you really want to pay attention to, but the AAU stuff is kind of what I'm
that's what
He was at like 52 true shooting for some 7'1", 240. Pretty bad.
Penny Hardaway allegedly paid for.
Got you. Sorry, the audio and the highlights were on there. Okay. Yeah, I mean, average 19 and 10 in only 3 games, JLs. So I guess that could be, where the tentativeness is. Golden State, they said, is shy on him, but they want Denny. Spencer, if somebody had to ask you, what is the one thing that Denny does very well? What would you say that was?
I mean, he's a high IQ player, and I think that's probably his number one skill. He's smart with rotations. Like it was a legitimately good interior defender, like with FIBA. And I mean, he was good one this year too, but he's still only 6'8". He's got a small wingspan, standing reach, and he's kind of not thin, but he's not particularly big. But like he knows where to be on offense. He's good. He's a really good cutter without the ball. I actually posted a video before that was sped up by accident. Just showing like he's not only someone who knows where to cut, but if he has a mismatch, instead of cutting behind, he'll cut in front and seal him. He'll finish plays through. The second he sees the defender turn his back to him, he's cutting. But it's a high IQ, and then skill wise, it would probably be his passing. He's a really good passer. Before the season, people are like, he's Luka passing. No, like nobody is Luka. Maybe Cade is like close, but he's a really good passer in his own right.
So now you think, because I just feel like in this draft that the Warriors are a big wild card just in terms of where they go with this. Like, do they trade if they get the number one pick? Do they trade? You don't really see LaMelo and Edwards really fitting in. But I mean, could you really see them taking Denny first, or would you see them probably trading down to get him at a later position if they're really that low on Wiseman?
I mean, I guess it really kind of depends on how the lotto shakes out.
Yeah.
If you have a team like the Knicks that are sitting at 3 and the Warriors at 1, and let's say I don't know, like the Hawks are at 2 or something like that, then I could easily see the Warriors just take LaMelo. The Hawks would then take Anthony Edwards, and the Knicks would take Denny, and then you do the same thing that the Hawks did with Dallas a few years ago.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think they end up with either Denny or Okongwu, but I don't expect either of those guys to go first overall.
Agreed.
Okay.
That seems like a high position for those guys. JL, let's get with your question.
I know people were talking about Wiseman, and some people were kind of enamored with his potential. But being that the Knicks already have Mitchell Robinson here, do you feel like it's worth taking Wiseman at whatever spot we get him at, considering we have Mitchell Robinson here?
No. I think like Wiseman's frame is definitely better. So I think in terms of going up against like the Joel Embiids and the Jokic's and Nurkic, like all the guys who can actually beat up Mitch on the inside, he'd do a better job. But in terms of like switching, Mitch is switchable. Wiseman is not. Like, I do not want him on an island against guards. He's heavy footed. He's got slow hips. Like they're slow to flip. And then like awareness, like Mitch's awareness around the rim, it's not great, but it's gotten a lot better, I think, from the first year to the second year. And Wiseman's, though it did get better from AAU to college, the speed uptick is not as great as it is from college to the NBA. So I expect there to be a bigger learning curve. And I mean, they're both mainly rim running centers.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Wiseman does seem like he does have a little bit better touch around the rim, though. What would you say about that? Just in terms of, if you could dump it down to him and let him get his own shot as compared to what Mitch has been able to show off so far.
So I agree, but at the same time, is that something you'd want to do? So are you really going to throw the ball down to the paint to someone unless if he's like an actually efficient post-up scorer? And like Wiseman's a bit mechanical. I think he's pretty strong. I think his touch is okay, but like he's not, the Ringer put out their reports and they say he's the next David Robinson.
I was blown away by that, man. Ringer likes to do that outlandish type of stuff, but I was blown away by that comparison.
Clickbait.
Yeah, pure clickbait. But yeah, I just don't really think there's that much uptick, I guess, from Wiseman to Mitch, and maybe Wiseman's a bit more potential because I probably trust his shooting longer term than I do with Mitch. But like the defensive swap, I guess, what you're giving up in defense to get maybe a little bit of extra spacing, and like not the vertical spacing that Mitch provides is awesome. I wouldn't.
No, not worth it. Now let's talk about the guards. Obviously, when we're talking about the Knicks, that's the most important position of need right now. You had mentioned, obviously, in a dream scenario of them getting LaMelo with either the 1, 2, or the 3 pick. How do you rank your guards? Let's say top 5 right now of this year's crop. How do you rank them on your big board?
It's tough. So my number 1 player overall is LaMelo. He's my number 1. Killian Hayes is my number 2. He was actually my number 1 back in November. Then it's just kind of like swapped, I guess. So it's LaMelo 1, Killian 2. Anthony Edwards is 3, but it's not something I'm like super enamored with, I guess. And then 4 and 5. I mean, these guys are kind of bunched together, so I'm just like 4, 5, and 6. It's really some combination of like Kyra, Cole, and Maxey.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah, at least for like the Knicks, like Halliburton, I like a lot. I do, but the Knicks don't need that type of point. Like they don't need Alonzo Ball type of point guard. I think they need some sort of engine, and like Kyra is younger than Cole. He's a good shooter. Like he's a better defender at the point of attack than Cole is. Cole is obviously a little bit stronger. And then Maxey, I don't trust the passing that much, but at the same time, it's also like the whole Kentucky thing and how they kind of like neuter, I guess, players like playmaking skills if they don't really want him handling the ball. So I don't know, there's some of that, but yeah, those three guys would probably be the 4, 5, and 6.
What made you put drop Anthony Edwards to 3? And who do you have number 2 again? For
Killian at 2, Edwards
Killian,
3.
Yeah. What made Killian leapfrog over Anthony Edwards in your mind?
It's tough. So Killian, like, he has, I think, the most elite pure skill between the two of them. I think his passing is better than anything Anthony Edwards brings to the table. Just like, if you're rating everything out of 10, I think he has the highest peak. I think he's a smarter player than Anthony Edwards. I think his effort level, it's not something you really have to question, which then brings me back to another thing that I've actually spoken with a couple NBA people about. Like, if you have someone who's such a good athlete, who shows flashes on defense, do you buy their defense translating? Because like Ben Simmons, horrible defender at LSU.
Yeah.
DeJounte Murray, horrible defender at Washington. Now all NBA defender.
All NBA, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, Anthony Edwards, like, he's an unbelievable shot maker. But for the Knicks, I don't know if I really trust the fit that much with RJ. I think talent is talent, so if he falls, you take him. But between like the fit with RJ and then, I mean, we don't really know who the coach is, so it's kind of hard to say this. But like, do you really trust the Knicks with like containing anyone's shot selection? Because that's Anthony Edwards. Just, like,
not for what we see this year, for sure.
No.
Or in previous years. You know, when you speaking of shot, I'm just playing your breakdown of Anthony Edwards this year. Statistically, they had aligned him to RJ, but obviously with RJ's questionable shot in college and in the pros, you know, the fit with the two of them is sort of questionable. But you would point it out to some things with Anthony Edwards mechanics wise that you would really like. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, he's got a really high release. So he's like 6'5". He gets good bounce. It's not like the Iman Shumpert where he's kind of jumping out of control, just like jumping like 4 feet up in the air, which, you know, I guess if he can do it, like I can't do that. I would do it as much as I can if I could. But like he gets a controlled, like, it's a controlled release in terms of how much pop he gets, just kind of like across all shot mediums. And then the high release, I'm a sucker for guys with high release, like Anthony Edwards, LaMarcus Aldridge. I mean, Dirk had a pretty high release. Like all those guys, I love that. And so he's 6'5", but you know, you can be 6'6", 6'7", trying to defend a shot. When he's shooting from up here, like, well, excuse, you know, the elbow flare, but like if he's shooting above his head, he's getting so high, he's pretty hard to contest.
Yeah, listen, I agree with you, man. I think from a talent standpoint, even though the fit is a bit iffy, I think you still, if you're going to go best player available and he's there, you know, well, 1 or 2 is questionable between LaMelo and him, but I think you would have to roll the dice on a JLS and just let the cards play out.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to be clear too, when you're talking about your list, you're talking about the best fits for the Knicks or just your top 5 in general?
Those guys are my top 6 guards, yeah. But like for the Knicks, like for another team, you know, for, I don't know, say Dallas or whatever. Like if some team that already has that primary initiator in the wing, I would move Halliburton up. I'd probably have Maxey a little bit higher. Like I probably wouldn't really have Anthony Davis as an option, except, you know, again, talent is talent. But I'd shuffle it around depending on who else is on the team. Yeah.
Okay. Salute to everybody in the chat. Once again, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. This is another edition of our NBA Draft Prospect Series. Spencer Perlman of the Stepien is here answering questions and breaking down his big board so far. We also just touched on James Wiseman, LaMelo Ball as well previously. If you guys are new in the chat, leave us a hashtag new. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up button for you boys. And we're also taking calls. The phone lines are up 657-383-1509. If you guys have questions for Spencer, hit us up and let us know. First caller up is JJ from Atlanta. He wants to talk about Cole Anthony. JJ, how you feeling, man? Just turn down your audio, please.
Yo.
I probably wouldn't
turn down your audio, man. JJ, you got to turn down your radio, man.
Hello.
Yeah. Turn down your radio, man.
All right, bet.
Yeah.
My fault.
Okay, go ahead with your question, bro.
All right. Now I just really wanted to talk about Cole Anthony. Like, I feel like he's like too much hype, in my opinion, and I feel like he's like going to be the next Austin Rivers.
Austin Rivers.
You know,
Well, we
like,
heard DSJ.
Cole Anthony.
We heard DSJ. Spencer, you said you had Cole kind of sandwiched between Kira and was it Halliburton? Maxey. Kira and Maxey. What's your take on Cole, man? Like I said, a lot of the doubters see DSJ in him. They don't like the decision making. Obviously, the shot didn't fall as much as you would have liked it to this year with UNC. Is that a product of the system? Is that a product of the overall lack of talent? What did you like and not like about Cole Anthony in his short sample size?
I mean, what I don't like about him, I just don't like that he's a small guard. I like, for me, I like taller guards. Like Halliburton, he's a really good tall guard. And for me, Cole Anthony, like against against Duke, he got clamped up by what's that guy's name?
But Trey Jones is a good defender, though, bro. Like I saw a lot of people, pointing to that game. I mean, that's one of the top defenders in the country, man.
Man, I don't know, man.
Nah. Spencer, go ahead and weigh in on this, man. JJ, I'm gonna put you on hold for a second. Go ahead, Spencer.
All right, so two things. In comparison, just like him and Halliburton. So, I mean, when I was writing the report in Halliburton, I went through literally every single pick and roll he ran this year, which was like 400 or something. He has no in-between game whatsoever. So from the three-point line to the rim, you can play him for the pass every single time because he can't pull up. And in the playoffs, you need that shot. Like, you see Kawhi Leonard, Damian Lillard, like all those guys can hit that in between. All the point guards, those engine-type point guards, Chris Paul shot like 54% from mid-range or something like that this year. Yeah. You need that. Halliburton can't do that. Which is why you need someone who can get into the paint. On Cole himself, I think he made the worst possible decision he could have made going to UNC. You're
one of many people that said that, but go ahead.
Yeah. I forgot what the stat was, but UNC outside of Cole Anthony shooting three shot like 29% from three. So there was zero spacing. You watch the games when he's attacking the rim. I posted a video a few days ago. He was being met by two guys at least from the opposing team. And then those two guys on UNC's team, who those initial two guys were guarding, that was worded very poorly. I'm sorry. Basically, he was attacking a very cramped paint. So he finished, 40%, 39%, whatever it was at the rim, which is atrocious because he was going up against multiple defenders. And then the other side of that argument, the flip side would be also he's missing passing lanes. But then you go back to the lack of spacing. When you're sinking, 8-10 feet off of the shooters because you don't have to guard them, what passing lanes really are there? Like they're harder to find. So that's where, before I was talking with Wiseman, how you have to go back to the stuff from last year in AAU and, high school and whatnot, although less with high school. Cole is not a great passer. Like he's not threading the needle like Halliburton. Halliburton's got him there like in spades, but Cole's not as bad of a passer as he showed this year. He is not a bad finisher. So my biggest argument for his finishing is you don't go from being a really good finisher to being a really bad one unless something happened. And that something that happened this year was the lack of spacing.
Right.
He's too strong. He's too athletic going off of 2 feet. Like he can take contact in the paint. And I mean, when you're going up against four guys, it doesn't really matter. So in the NBA with maybe not with the Knicks because the Knicks currently lack spacing, but with like the wider court on most teams with spacing, he'll have easier passing lanes to hit. He won't be going up against 2 or 3 guys in the paint. It'll be maybe one help defender, and that's kind of it. And then the shooting, like he's a really good shooter, not only off the bounce, but catch and shoot. He's also a movement shooter. Like people talk about Nico Mannion being a great movement shooter, which he is. Cole's really good in his own right. So, I mean, if you want someone who can play on and off ball, whose finishing should get better, whose passing should get better with a bigger, with more spacing, then you go with Cole. If you already have that guy who can start the offense, get into the paint, and do all that stuff, honestly, even then, I'd probably prefer Cole a little bit because he can shoot off movement, whereas Haliburton is a pure
catch and shoot.
He's a stationary catch and shoot guy. That's kind of it.
Yeah.
But there's like an argument to be made there. Just for the Knicks, I'd prefer someone who's downhill. Like I said before, seeing some friends, some of his game in terms of style reminds me a little bit of Damian Lillard, not in terms of he will reach that level, but the way they play. I think it's a little bit similar. And then kind of like worst case scenario, you have a spark plug off the bench who can be a spot starter. I still like Cole. I don't think it's fair to judge him entirely in UNC just because of the circumstances he kind of went in with. And that's my spiel.
Yeah, I hear that. I feel like, a lot of these top prospects kind of have that issue, right? With Cole, he had kind of had a shortened season with his injury. UNC not being that good and no March Madness. Wiseman, same way. You had LaMelo, his season was cut back by injury. And obviously with this whole COVID-19, a lot of the international prospects, their seasons were cut short. NCAA season was cut short. So this is a very, very interesting pool, and it's going to be interesting to see how going forward, how they prioritize, these individual workouts or these team workouts for these kids, whether or not they host a scouting combine and stuff like that to really, make sure that guys get a full evaluation on them.
Yeah, man. And I don't know, man. Like, to me, I know he seems like he played better off ball, but I can't fathom having a 6'3" guy play off ball on the Knicks. Like, if we're truly trying to have that positionless thing, I want somebody I want somebody who's going to be 6'3" and the guard be a little bit taller with that. And if you are 6'3", I don't want you playing off ball more. I want you to play lead guard more than anything. So yeah.
It's not that you want him playing off ball. It's the versatility. It's the option of, like, if you want RJ handling a little bit more, then you're comfortable playing him off. Like, you can't do that really with Haliburton because you can just kind of, like, he'll go to the corner, he'll go to the above the break, left, right side of the range, just kind of standing there. Like Cole, you have to track around the court. And like, I don't really want to say this, but like if the Knicks have the Knicks obviously have RJ, if they get Cole this year, and then if next year, if they somehow wind up with Cade, you have your guy who can create for others in Cade. You have another guy who can create in the pick and roll a bit in RJ. You have Cole who can run off screens. Like, those guys, sure, like, they lack some athleticism, I guess, because Cole's burst isn't great, and RJ, he's more of a power athlete. You do have guys who can both play on and off ball who kind of fit in a weird way. So, like, when I say, like, you can play him off ball, it's not like you're starting him at shooting guard. You're still starting him at point guard, or whatever you want to call it, lead guard. But it's about the lineups that you can run with him, where you can play him off ball next to another primary ball handler. That's the stuff that I like.
Interesting, man. Next guy up, we got Tucson from Pennsylvania. Tucson, how you feeling, man?
I'm good, man. How y'all fellas doing?
Good, man. What's your question?
So the volume is a little bit low. But I can't really hear y'all on my end. If you don't mind, I'll just say my two questions real quick, and then I'll hang up so I can listen to y'all.
Okay.
Like on the video, if that's cool.
Yeah, go ahead, bro.
All right. So pretty much, I just wanted to ask, in y'all opinion, how does the college level of basketball really compare to the D League or the G League? Because I was wondering, would it be too crazy to just suggest that the Knicks just take the best talent available, with at least with the first pick they had, and maybe go for fit with the second one, right? Because there's not that much talent on the team. And then maybe look at somebody like Peters from the G League, who's been performing well, and they already have him. And then the second question I had was, what really is the value of having these like draft and stash players overseas? I see the Knicks got a couple guards overseas that may never even make it to the league. Is that like a waste of a pick in y'all opinion? And that's it. I'm gonna hang up and then see what y'all respond.
Okay. All right. Appreciate the call, Toussaint, man. I mean, to me, they should definitely be going best player available. I mean, we don't have enough talent on this team to just, be choosy in terms of need. Yes, we need a point guard, but we need shooting. We need defense. We need a backup big. We need a floor spacing 4. We need a 3-and-D wing, a solid one. I mean, there's a lot of needs that the Knicks have. To me, you go best player available, and then with your later picks, I would say for need. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I guess the same thing. I get best player available, but I mean, what I'm hearing from this draft is people are marginally better and not like blowing away miles and miles better than the next person. So it kind of depends on how much better than you are. Like if number 3 is marginally better than number 4, but my need is shooting, then I might go for need in that situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Spencer, how about you?
Yep. Yeah, I agree. I mean, if it's like, so LaMelo, he is my number 1 player. Like I think he's that good. I think he has the potential to be that good. Some of the draft models that are actually coming out now actually align with that, which makes me pretty happy because they're from guys who I respect. So like, I tend to go, if you have the number 1 pick, I think it's pretty easy to go best player available. But when you have, as JL was just saying, it's like 3rd, 4th pick. If the divide between the two is kind of small, and if one of them does the thing that you need from your team a little bit more, if he does a little bit better, I'm perfectly fine taking him. And then, with the later picks, I think it's unless if you see someone who has really nice flashes, like Pokusevski, who I don't think should fall under any circumstance 228. But unless if it's someone like him, I'm always just going for, someone who you kind of want. It's usually for like the more NBA ready player, the guy who's got maybe ceiling's a little bit lower, but the floor is
ready to roll.
Yeah. And then I guess on the draft and stash, I know Yusuf Senon or whatever. Like he's one of those guys. I don't think he's an NBA player, period. Like I don't. But there's this guy playing overseas now, Carlos Ellison, who he just signed a 5-year contract with Real Madrid, and they loaned him to another team. So he's probably not going to come over for at least 3 years. But if the Knicks, with their 32nd pick, I think they have the Hornets pick, or 38, whatever it is.
They got 27 and 38 right now.
All right, yeah, I was backwards. I'm 100% okay taking him. Like, he's another one of those guys who's like, he might not come over, but I think the risk is well worth it because he's really, really talented. And then, circling back to the Lamar Peters question, I loved him at Mississippi State. I made a video on him. I think he's good. I don't know if he's a starting level point guard, but I do think he will end up in like one team's rotation. And if it's with the Knicks, I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
His finishing actually improved. I was looking at this 2 weeks ago. He was a pretty poor finisher in college, and there's like a 10% or so jump, which is like crazy. And
nice.
Going back to Cole a little bit more, cramped lanes, have a little bit more space, it can improve.
Improvements. Seeing those improvements. I like Peters, man. I really wish he can get an opportunity. I see the backcourt as being way too crowded right now, especially if they're going to go into the draft and get another kid in here. I think they will keep Frank. I think they'll try to trade DSJ, but you'll still have RJ. I think they'll keep Peyton. I don't know what you guys think, but I think they'll keep Peyton as the vet. So I just think the backcourt is going to be so crowded, man. I'm not sure if Peters gets a shot here, but like you said, Spencer, he's definitely improved since he got to the G League. He gave a lot of credit to Lisa Willis and the G League coaches for helping him work on his shooting. Handles obviously is through the roof. Finished a lot better. Assist numbers went up.
Yeah, man.
Man. I would love to see Peters get an opportunity. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. Speaking of draft and stash, Aleksej Pokusevski. I've been seeing in a lot of mock drafts, a lot of guys have him in the lottery or maybe just a little bit outside. he played for the Olympiacos minor league team. In terms of how you evaluate his film, I'm playing the film breakdown that you did on him, Spencer. Most of it on his pick and roll abilities. How much do you factor in where he played when you're evaluating him? You know, because he played on that team.
Giannis played in the second division in Greece also.
Interesting.
Think about
Foreshadowing.
I
never knew that.
As a fan watching Poku in Milwaukee or like in Denver with him and Jokic, that'd be a lot of fun. But so I don't really, I guess, look for, obviously you want someone who's going to dominate the lower levels, be it on offense or defense, because anytime you can clearly show that you're a level ahead of everyone else, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But with him, what makes him kind of so intriguing is like it's the skill and the fluidity, and just like he's 6'11", but the way he moves, it's like he's 6'5". Like he runs around screens like he's a shooting guard and he's a power forward. It's pretty cool. But like with him, it's just kind of like it's obviously a lot of projection, which is why there's a lot of risk there.
Yeah.
But like when you watch the film, you see the skill. Like you see the handle. You see him running around screens, catch and shoot. You see he's running the pick and roll as a 6'11" guy.
Yeah, he's fluid.
And he can also
fluid out there, man.
Very, yeah. He can play like as the big in the. He can play pick and pop big, whatever. He's just like he's a really, really cool prospect, and if I bought his frame a little bit more, I'd probably have him, in that 3 to 9 range maybe. Yeah. But instead, he's in like that 10, 11. He's like around 10, 11. Vassell's right next to him. A couple other players, but I love his game. I think he's very, very good. I think he's going to be very good.
You see him as a draft and stash, while he bulks up and continues to kind of work on his game, or maybe it depends on the team need.
I mean, if you can bring him over, then I absolutely would. Like, I don't really think there's a need, I guess, to kind of keep guys overseas, because with the way NBA teams and G League teams are so intertwined now, you can have them on your NBA team, then you could just have them, what the Knicks should have done with Knox this season. They should have sent him down and said, hey, here's 30 minutes a game, go do your thing. Like, I'd prefer to have him stateside. Yeah, I'd prefer to have him stateside.
And at least he's in your system if he comes to the G League. Yeah. For the teams that do have the 1-to-1 affiliate. So I can certainly see that. JL, so you have anything before we go to the phones?
No, not necessarily. I mean, I it's off topic anyway, my questions, because I know everybody talked about Denny, but Obi's on my radar too, so I'm trying to figure out, like, where do you fit Obi into this draft? Do you see him as like a top 5-6 pick, or?
Yeah, where does Obi fit on your big board, Spencer?
Hello.
Yep.
You hear me? Did you lose it?
I think we lost Spencer into the Matrix. So let's see if he comes back. I got you loud and clear, JL. Spencer's frozen.
Yeah, here I'm saying hello in the back.
Spencer, you still with us? Looks like we got some technical difficulties for Spencer. He's not sleeping, folks. He's just his connection and his transmission is just a bit frozen.
Yeah.
All right, so we lost. Okay, here we go.
His internet looked like he's frozen in time.
Now we got him back now. Spencer, you still there?
All right. Caught in the Matrix. Oh,
Spencer, can you hear us?
Hello. Spencer's KOT now. Okay, all right.
Yeah, Spencer, can you hear us?
Hello.
Spencer, can you hear us? Testing 1, 2, 3. Spencer, can you hear? Hello. All right, little technical difficulties, people. Can you hear us now?
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that.
Good morning. All right, no doubt. We good to go. Yeah, JLs, what were we saying? Your question was on Obi, right?
Yeah, my person was on Obi because I know we talked a lot about Denny, but I've been intrigued with Obi lately, so I'm curious to see what your thoughts about him, if you see him as a top 5 pick or lower than that.
Yeah, I'd probably. I mean, I have him a little bit lower. He's also kind of around that 10 range, just because I like this. I guess this is my line of thinking. So, Karl-Anthony Towns had one of the greatest offensive seasons of all time this year. Like statistically speaking, just everything like on offense was unbelievable. However, his defense was so bad that it was still pretty difficult for him to make an impact in terms of like keeping the team above float when he's in the court.
Yeah.
Obviously, some of that can be mitigated with better defenders, but still. So, Obi, he's not the Karl-Anthony Towns talent on offense. He's just not. I think he's much more in line with John Collins. I think Collins' form is actually a little bit better shooting, so I think that was a safer projection. So I do think Obi will shoot. I just think it's probably going to be like 2 to 3 threes a game versus 4 or 5 beyond that. And then like he's another guy. He's a very good passer. He's an unbelievable pick and roll player. Like crazy, vertical spacing, all that stuff. But the defense really worries me. One of my friends actually tweeted saying that for as good an athlete as he is vertically, he moves like a 70-year-old man with hip issues laterally. And
jeez, man.
Like, I kind of agree with that.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you have just kind of like the overall effort. Getting out to shooters is bad. The awareness on the interior is not very good. He's got a very high center of gravity, which is why, when you watch him try to post up guys or
he's really high up, even on his post ups. He's very awkward looking.
Yeah. I'd be a little cautious managing my impact expectations. Like I'm drafting everything. Obviously, you want someone who's going to raise the floor and raise the ceiling to potentially championship level. Obi raises the floor because he can get you points, rebounds, stuff like that. But I also think his major defensive limitations kind of cap your ceiling.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, at a certain level, you take him because he's the best talent, but he's also 22, which is older than someone like Killian Tillie, who's, a senior. And that still is mind-boggling to me.
Yeah. Now with Killian Tillie, he's a guy that could be slotted around that 28 to 38 range. What did you see in him? I was reading briefly one of your scouting reports, and he said he had some injury issues at Gonzaga. From strengths wise, what could he bring to a team?
Similar, I guess, to what Jonte Porter does, who I loved last year. He's a really good passer. He's an unbelievable shooter. He's got a really soft touch in the paint. He's actually a better shooter than Jonte is, and he doesn't have the full passing, but it's that type of like offensive hub from a big. He's a smart defender. He actually covers ground pretty well. Like on defense, he's not super, super quick, but he's pretty quick. Like, just looking at him, you kind of see he's not super like ripped, he doesn't kind of look athletic, and then you see him move his feet and you're like, oh, it's kind of impressive. But I mean, the injury issues worry me a lot, and his lack of vertical pop in the paint, that worries me. Yeah. Like, I can get away with the lack of vertical pop and the reach. I don't think Kelly Olynyk actually has a pretty high pop. Like, I don't think he jumps very high, and I don't think his reach is very high, but Tilly's a much better passer. And I think actually my new thing that I'm kind of like honed in on is that big shooting, the most important place that they should be shooting from is not the corners, it's above the break threes, because it provides a lot more space. He shot like 43%, something like that, over like 150 attempts the last 2 years from above the break threes, which is unbelievable. I worry about the injuries, I guess, more than anything else.
It's Killian Tillie right now on Tankathon. They have him around 41 at the Spurs jail. So maybe that's a somebody that potentially we could be looking at with the with the second round pick. So to everybody in the chat, once again, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. Another episode of our NBA draft series. Special guest Spencer Perlman of the Stepien is here with us. Had a little bit of technical difficulties, but we got him out of the Matrix, JLs. He was stuck for a second, man. We got him back in action. He's back. And with that being said, let's go to the phones. Our guy Will from LI is up next. Will, how you doing, man? Go ahead with your question.
Hey, what's going on, CT, JLS?
What's good, bro?
Spencer, how you guys doing? I hope you guys being safe and everything like that.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Cool. Same thing. All right, no problem. My bad. I'm getting food right now. Take care.
Hey, no doubt. Will's always doing something, man. He's always doing something.
Yeah, he's always doing. He got. Why do you have such of a life, man?
Will's always in the middle of something when he calls in.
Man, he's never just watching the show.
Yeah, sorry for disturbing you, Will, but please, can you give us your question?
Oh man, no, you guys are good. You guys are giving us confidence. I appreciate it. So same thing like what the previous call said is low. So I'm gonna just give off my 2 points and then I'm gonna just leave you guys to it. So basically, this is definitely for Spencer. I'm very happy that you're on the show. Just like you, my guy is LaMelo Ball. I have been awakened, and I've been in the church of LaMelo, and I'm all for it. But can you really talk about his deficiencies in terms of his shot,
right?
The mechanics about it, and his defense, and just while we had sample size, we don't really know how it's going to translate to the NBA. And then lastly, can you just talk about his overall ceiling, his ultimate?
Okay.
You see him being after.
All right.
3-4 years.
All right, I'm going to let Will go because his call was kind of dropping out. But basically, I want you to talk about his deficiencies. What do you think about, his shot wasn't that good. Shot about close to 20%, 30% from three. Mm-hmm. Defense and ceiling. What do you think about that? Those three areas for LaMelo?
All right. So, yeah, the shot definitely needs work. I can't spin that if I tried and I went to law school, and that's kind of what I'm taught to do.
That's tough.
But if there's one kind of area that I'd have hope for the shot, it's he has good touch in the paint. He has good touch in his runner, and he shot 11 of 28 or 11 of 29 on catch and shoot threes, which obviously is not particularly good, but it's like what 38-ish percent, 36%. Mm-hmm. That's nowhere near as bad as, whatever's off the dribble stuff was this year, which was definitely low. So yeah, I mean, the shot needs work. I think also a lot of the percentages I think were brought down by, again, his shot selection.
Yeah.
I get on Anthony Edwards for it because he took bad shots, although I think the types of shots were kind of different, whereas LaMelo, he would just kind of take, weird shots, just like a blanket statement. His shot selection kind of needs work. Anthony Edwards would take like step back threes, step back twos, side steps, all that stuff with like 18 seconds left in the shot clock. I think that probably bothered me a little bit more. But yeah, sorry. LaMelo shot, it needs work. But I buy the touch. I buy the catch and shoot numbers. The defense. So, I read over my report a few weeks ago after watching a little bit more of him. I'm actually a little bit higher, I think, now than I was before in his defense. My biggest issue with his defense is still the fact that he would stay with his man when he was 30 feet away from him. Like that, it's just kind of stupid. But on the plus side, it's also an easy fix. If you're the coach, you tell him stop doing that. And in theory, he should stop doing that. But the flashes that he had kind of like rotating both along the perimeter, like he did pretty well rotating along the perimeter. His defensive shot chart was bad, but you watch the shots, his hand is like right in the guy's face and he still hits a three. So, that's not on him. A good rotation is a good rotation, whether or not the shot is made.
Yeah.
And then going underneath, I think his lack of strength I think that limits him. I think he has a weird frame. I don't really think he'll get that much stronger. Like I see him, he'll rotate down instead of actually standing there with his hand straight up. He'll swipe and just kind of get out of the way because he didn't want to hit. So seeing him rotate and be in the right place at the right time, that's good. Footwork still needs a little bit of work. In terms of ceiling, I mean, honestly, I don't have a player for that. I don't have comparison. I hate comparisons kind of period, except, comparing styles. But like in time, I think he should work on and off ball. I think his passing is the type of passing, like his passing is literally Luka level. Like if not, elite. A little bit higher.
It's elite.
Yeah. Like it's, if there's one skill out of any player in this entire draft that I'm banking on, it is LaMelo's passing translating. He sees passes that like nobody could, like literally nobody could see. You could pause it, you could do the 360 view on the video, you're still not going to find out where he's going with it. So I think just that ability to get everybody involved and hit his teammates with the ball at the right time, the right spot, an accurate pass, I think that has a lot of value. So, I mean, stats like what true shooting for, I think a wing or point guard's around like 55-ish%. His true shooting will probably be somewhere around 54, 55%, I think in time, maybe 53. So he's not going to be particularly efficient, but the passes and his ability to just kind of create plays for others, I think his ability to read the passing lanes is good. I think he's going to be a very high impact player. And again, the models kind of project that, and the fact that he was the only guy in his team with a positive net rating once Aaron Brooks went down, and LaMelo was given the full handle of the offense. I think that kind of shows, just how impressive a player he is.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the shooting is definitely concerned, especially from a Knicks standpoint if you're going to pair him with RJ, but at least the runner's there. The floater's definitely there. He's not totally inept on the offensive end. As you said, I think with better decision-making in terms of his shot selection, I think that should certainly improve. You compare him to like a Peyton who's scared to shoot a 3-footer, at the rim. I think, we should be in good hands in terms of LaMelo. So if all things considered, let's say the Knicks did get the number one pick. Miracles happen and they get the number one pick. Would you go LaMelo or would you go Edwards?
Oh, I'm picking LaMelo, and I'm like, well, it might be, a draft over the internet, but I'm pressing send as quickly as possible, or whatever. Like LaMelo, not even a question.
That's your guy. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Cool.
All right. I have a question from Ted Green. I'm trying to decipher it. But shout out to Ted. He says he watches every pod, and he wants that shout out so he can hear his name at work when he releases the show tomorrow. Shout out to you, Ted Green.
What up, Ted?
So I think he has a few players in mind he wants to discuss. He said if the Knicks get around 8 to 10, would we consider drafting Toppin or Lewis? I already have a feeling what you're going to say. And also, would you even consider drafting Killian or Jalen Smith?
So Toppin or Lewis, if we're, I don't think we're gonna get 10. 10 is the probabilities of getting 10 are very low. I think the probabilities are much higher right now for 7, 8.
7, 8.
7 and 8. We got 50% chance there.
Yeah, I think he's trying to cover the bases. He's trying to cover the spread. Like, all right,
so let's say worst case scenario, it's all right. Say 7 to 10.
Mm-hmm.
Would you go Toppin or would you go Lewis based on what you've seen so far?
Yeah, I'd go Cairo. I'd go Cairo Lewis. And I just do you want me to like explain why?
What do you like about Lewis? I know some people in the chat wanted your thoughts on Kira Lewis.
Yeah, I can't have the chat open on the YouTube, otherwise my internet's gonna die. I tried doing that. That's
what happened the last time. I got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
All good.
Yeah, I mean, so as I was saying before, Kyra, like he's a good point of attack defender. I think he uses his length well. He's a good shooter. He's a menace in transition. I think his passing, he doesn't have great vision. Like he's nowhere near, LaMelo or anything like that, or Killian. I think when you have his kind of speed and ability to just collapse the defense, I don't think you have to have that elite vision. Like we see it with Westbrook. He's not his vision. I still don't think is good, but he's able to get everybody the ball when he's not, shooting 25 times because he can just get into the paint at will and drive and kick to either side. Drop off to a big, whatever. Kyra can do that, but he can make live action passes with either hand, which is something that I think LaMelo is the only other person in this draft who can say that. Killian can only do it with his left hand. Luka could do it. So it's a rare skill to have. And, he's thin, but I don't think he plays that small. He's easy to push around, but he's not just kind of going to get back down. And, that's kind of him. And also, I trust his trainer or one of his trainers. Corey, I think on Twitter, he's like sweatsuit champ.
Okay.
He used to play in the NBA. Super nice guy, but I trust him. He's done a good job with Kyra, and
Only thing is, unfortunately, it doesn't seem like he'll be there for the Knicks unless you get into a trade down scenario where they get into the middle of the lottery, or they move up from 27, into the 20 range. 16,
I think Kyra's going to go. Yeah. So back 2 months ago, I was talking with someone, not with a team, just someone who I trust. And apparently his draft range around then was 8 to 20 or so. If you want him mid lotto, late lotto is probably, around where he's going to fall. And he's probably hurt the most maybe by the combine because he's someone who would absolutely kill it. If you think he's going to fall to 20, I guess there's always an outside chance. You never really know with GMs drafting who they're going to like. And I think some seniors will probably rise up the board because they have more film on them. But, he has 2 years of backbone for him too.
Yo, I think my stream went down. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we did for a second. We're back up and running now, Jails. So we should
cool.
be good. Yeah, little technical difficulties, but it's all good. We should be back live and rolling. So that was Spencer's take on Kyra Lewis. Let's go to a couple of callers. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Ernesto in Miami. Ernesto, how you feeling, man?
Hey, what's up, CP? How you doing?
Good, bro. Hope everything is well down here, man. How's everything?
Everything's good, man. Just staying in quarantine, just like everybody else for the most part.
Yeah, man. Hang in there, bro.
Have to work, so. Yeah, man. So, first of all, I want to say what's up to the chat also, and to Jay Ellis and
Spencer.
Coleman.
Yeah.
Yeah, salute, man.
So I got a question here for Spencer. Regarding with the pick that we have, with the Charlotte's pick at 27. I got 3 players, and I'm gonna name them in the particular order that I would personally select. And I want your opinion on what you think of those selections. First, I have Jay Scrubb. He's a JUCO player, shooting guard, and I would like him with the 27th pick, or Tyler Bay, or Leandro Bolmaro. Those 3 players I have right around there. So I would select them in that order. I just want your opinion on what you think of those guys, and who would you select with the 27th pick?
27. So
who do you have on your board for the
so
next
Spencer, so
27?
Jay Scrubb, Tyler Bay out of Colorado, and Leandro Bolmaro, who played for, I believe it was FC
Real
Barcelona,
Madrid.
right? Or
He
Real
plays for
Madrid.
Barcelona.
Barcelona, okay.
He plays for Barcelona.
Yeah. So Spencer, what's your thoughts?
All right. So I haven't seen that much of Bolmaro. I know he's a really good pick and roll ball handler. He plays a good pace. He can shoot off the bounce a little bit. I don't really know how much I kind of trust his handle in tight spaces. He's crafty, but The handle just kind of seems to get loose when he's under a little bit of pressure. But like he's skilled, and I think the shot's going to come. I think the shot kind of is there. He just has to fix some weird. There's like a weird thing with his foot where he kind of like flares it out, or one goes in front of the other a little bit. Yeah. So I mean, I guess my order would be I'd roll the dice on Bolmaro, just kind of based on what I've seen, and I think talent-wise, he's probably the most talented out of all of them. I'd have Tyler Bay second, and then Jay Scrubb. Honestly, I wouldn't really have in consideration at 27. So I guess working from there, like Scrubb is a great athlete. Like can't deny that. Like unbelievable athlete. He's got a great foot step. He's got a good handle in terms of the moves he can make, but at the same time, it's loose. So one play he can cross, behind the back, everything, attack the rim. Next play he'll try like hesitation. The guy just kind of pokes the ball away, and he's kind of screwed. I think the shot's actually pretty good. I think 34% from three. I think this year I did the scouting report on him a couple weeks ago. A lot of it was off the bounce. He can actually shoot off movement a little bit, but it's not consistent yet. But I think it will come. He's a great finisher. The defense is kind of bad all around. The effort, the footwork, and he's another one of those guys who he's such a good athlete. So are you going to roll the dice on him improving? And maybe he won't reach DeJounte Murray level or Ben Simmons, or are you going to just kind of like stay safe and stay away from him? And his passing is not particularly good. He's a pure read and react passer, but I don't think he kind of processes what happens on the court pretty quickly, which is why his shot selection is also bad. There's a video I put out a couple weeks ago of just straight up bad shots, and it was 2 minutes, 20 seconds, whatever the Twitter limit was, and there were plenty more, but like the first three of them, I think he was taking contested mid-range jump shots. He had, or he'd drive the lane and the entire weak side of the court was wide open. He just missed it. Bay, I like a lot. Like I really like Bay actually. And between if someone else besides Bomar were there, Bay would probably be my first choice between, I guess, whoever it would be. That's context dependent, but I like the defense a lot. He's a smart player. He actually played a lot of the 4 and the 5 this year, and I think he's someone who's probably more of a 3-4. Again, kind of, matchup dependent and whatnot, but when he's defending bigger players, he's obviously thinner than them. He does a really good job of just kind of like sneaking around the back and poking it free. Does a nice job rotating from the weak side. People are going to say he's not a good shooter. I mean, I guess if you look at the sample size, he's not. But then you see some of the threes that he's taking, and Colorado ran a baseline out of bounds play to actually get him catch and shoot threes on the move. So they were playing him off of motion, and he hit some of them. And he's a really good free throw shooter. The form is good. So, I've seen some people say he's Andre Roberson. I don't think he's anything close to him.
Oh boy.
Roberson.
Maybe in looks. That's bad.
Yeah. I mean, Bay's shot is it's going to come. I don't know why he hasn't shot. I think a lot of it's just kind of like Colorado saying, you're such a good paint player. We need to win games. Just do that. But I like Bay. I think he's going to be a pretty easy plug and play guy. But I mean, it's Bay and Bolmaro pretty close. And then Scrubb just not really, I guess, in the conversation.
Okay. And we're talking to Spencer Perlman of the Steppy in another edition of our NBA Draft Scouting Series. Hit that thumbs up button for you boys. Salute to everybody in the chat, wherever you guys are quarantining. Hope you guys are being safe as well as your families. Spencer, speaking of shooting, speaking of Bay, who would you rank as, let's say your top 5 shooters in the draft? Obviously, Sadiq Bey being up there. We do know the kid from Vanderbilt is up there as well. Your alma mater, I know you're pretty high on him. What do you think, shooters in the draft? Because we need shooting, man. We need shooting in the worst way.
We need shooting bad.
Give us some names in that regard.
All right. So Nesmith. I think Nesmith and Desmond Bane are the two kind of like pure class shooters. Those two guys and Isaiah Joe. I think those three are the best shooters in the draft. Joe has more in terms of off the bounce game than either of the other two guys in terms of space creation. He's got a really good step back, similar to Anthony Edwards. He can pretty much take all the shots and make a whole bunch of them, be it from three, mid-range, whatever. And I think the shooting numbers this year are kind of low for him. But he also shot like 38% over something like 500 attempts over the last 2 years. Like he took 10 threes a game this year. Like he knows his role in the NBA is going to be 3 and D. And he can do that. And he's also a pretty good passer, pretty good team defender. But yeah, the shooting, I buy the shot 100%. I think he's a good shooter. Nesmith, another really good shooter. Vanderbilt, Jerry Stackhouse, who actually wanted the Knicks to hire as a coach a couple years ago. He did a really good job just kind of improving him and getting him good looks. So the plays, they would run like elevator plays to get him, going across to the corners, above the break, everything. He doesn't have the quickest release and doesn't have the quickest set in the lower body, but he's a really, really, really good shooter. Like you don't shoot 53% from three on 100 and something attempts. He 14 games ever he played. But he had like crazy shots.
50%
really
is crazy.
Shooter. Yeah. And it's not like it was, 20 attempts. It was, I think, 8 attempts a game. So it was pretty good volume. And then Desmond Bane, he's actually another guy, people haven't really spoken about him as a shooter. And, I'm going through the clips. So full disclosure, I'm working with his agent. That's not why he's here. You look at the stats. He shot 44% or 42% from college three this year. He shot 43%, I think, on 160 attempts from NBA range this year. He's shooting off screens. He's got kind of an unorthodox shot, but the ball just rips the net and it goes in. He can shoot off the bounce. He can shoot off screens. So yeah, I guess those guys are probably my 3 best, just because they're all guys who can shoot off movement. And I think that's, when you want shooters, you don't want stationary guys. I think, Bay's obviously a very good shooter. I actually need to dig into him a little bit more. Jordan Nwora, I think he's a very good shooter. I also think he pretty much does kind of nothing else. So, that's kind of an issue. And crap, there was one more guy I was going to say. What's his name? Emmanuel Quickly. Was it Quickly?
Quickly from Kentucky.
Yeah, I think he's one of the best shooters in the draft too.
I think he shot about 50% from three, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. Jesus. Yeah, if he were 2 inches taller, he'd be like, probably around 20 or so on many boards.
Yeah. Where do you see some of these guys like a Quickly and a Bane? Are these more second round, number 38 targets, or where do you see them kind of slotting in?
Speaking on behalf of, a lot of people, I guess, on draft Twitter, myself, Jackson Frank, Zach Milner, we have Bane around in that late teens, early 20s, because he has the shooting, he has the defense, he has the passing. He's just 6'6", and he has, a 6'4" and 1/4 wingspan. So, that's, a problem, but he's also built like, a brick house, I guess. I don't know if I can curse, but he's unbelievably strong. Quickly is probably more of a second round guy. In fact, I'd be shocked, I guess, if he went before, 30, 34, maybe, something like that. Nesmith is probably somewhere in the, probably teens or so.
Yeah, I'm seeing a little bit, maybe a little outside lottery or around that, 12 to 16 range.
Yeah, he's got the fact he's a movement shooter and he's still a sophomore, whereas Bane is a senior. Isaiah Joe, honestly, he should have been a lottery pick this year. The shooting numbers just kind of pushed him down heavily. So I think if he ends up going around 30, that's going to be a massive steal. Anything lower than 20 or so, it's probably a massive steal. Saddiq Bey, he probably also in that late teenish range, 16-ish maybe. But yeah, like, shooting's at a premium. So like, and I guess any of these guys can kind of go before where you expect them to, but I think the cluster will probably be in the, late teens to early 30s.
Okay. How about Jalen Smith? Mel,
Yeah.
What do you think about? What's your thoughts on Jalen Smith?
Yeah. He's a good rim protector. He actually plays physically, which is cool because, he's thin and his nickname is Sticks. But when you watch him like defend, when you're defending the post, a lot of people don't do this, but your quad is supposed to be pretty much used as a stool for the person who is posting up. So like you want your quad lodged into the person's hamstring because you're like, that guy's not moving. So in terms of watching post defense, that's something I look for, because if you're doing that at a young age, that means you're either pretty smart, and you're doing that because you were taught to do it, and you're not doing it for that reason, or you have no idea what you're doing. You just know that's the right thing to do. Either way, that's a good look. Yeah, I mean, he's a pretty good interior defender. He's a very, very, very good shooter. He's like Maryland ran stuff to actually get him off screens. I posted a cool play last night where, like, guy comes across, Anthony Cowan comes across the other way, guy cuts through the paint, then Smith kind of like runs down and then he runs back up. So it's like a circle route, I guess, kind of in football, like a circle route pin down. I don't know. Really good shooter. He's probably somewhere in the teens or so, probably a little bit lower than that, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, he's just, he's a good interior defender. I don't think he's a great one. I think he'll probably be bullied by bigger guys in the NBA just because even if you have good positioning, it's going to help you a little bit because leverage and all that. But, Embiid and Jokic and all those guys are
tough matchup.
Different beasts.
Tough matchup. How about Tyrell Terry?
He's another guy who actually I need to watch a little bit more of.
Okay.
Yeah, but he's a good shooter. He's a pretty good passer. He's got good touch in the paint. What else? He's a smart team defender, but he's tiny. He's like 6'2", 165. And that kind of worries me. Like, I guess him and Nico would probably be somewhere around the same area in the draft.
Davis,
although I would take Nico well before I would even consider, not well before I'd even consider, but I would take Nico before Tyrell just because I think he's a better movement shooter and his passing is a lot better than Tyrell's. Not because Tyrell's a bad one, but Nico is just that much better.
Better passer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably going to be like a backup-ish point guard, something along the lines of like a Yogi Ferrell maybe. Like shooter, get into the paint a little bit, not really go for many finishes because he's kind of that thin, and I don't think he'll get big because he's very slight. But yeah, I like Terry.
Okay.
Sounds good, man. Salute to everybody in the chat. We're talking to Spencer Perlman of the Stepien. Hit that thumbs up button for you boys. All right, Spencer, one more call before we roll. Let's go to Chris from Brooklyn. Chris, how you feeling, man?
Hey, what's up, guys? How's everything?
Good, man. How you feeling?
All right.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear, bro.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I just wanted to talk to you guys about the draft. I know you guys mentioned earlier about LaMelo. I think he has to be our first-round pick as far as that number one lottery pick, even if it means trading up. I don't know if you guys agree with that, but I think we have to get LaMelo. I don't think there's a lot of teams on the top of the draft that need a point guard, and I think we need one desperately at this point. My other point that I wanted to bring up was with that second first-round pick. There's a few prospects that I wanted to look at. I don't know if you guys have an opinion on those guys. Vernon Carey, Jordan Nwora. Later in the second round, actually, Peyton Pritchard. Guys like that. A lot of guys that I was watching in college that really impressed me as far as their ability to score, especially Jordan Nwora and his leadership. So I'll hang up and I'll listen to you guys and what you guys have to say.
Sure. So right. Carey's interesting because Carey, I saw some mock drafts that had him going to the Knicks with that 28 pick. Solid player for Duke, put up I think like 10 doubles. He's not going to stretch it for you, but he's got excellent footwork and can certainly work inside the paint. But Knicks need-wise, I'm not sure if he's a guy that they target over, say, a shooter, or if they don't get the point guard in the lottery, you go get the point guard with that 28 or get a 3-and-D guy. What do you guys think? JL's, what's your thoughts on that?
I don't know, man. So, yeah, to me, it's shooters. Even if it's not a guard shooter, to me, like, if it's not a guard that can shoot, it's a power forward that can shoot to me. Yeah. Because of the guys we have, where the guards are, the guards or even just RJ itself are just so reliant on just going to the hole. You just need that space.
Yeah. Spencer, how about you?
Yeah. I probably wouldn't really pick Carey. I guess at a certain point you just kind of have to pick talent, but I probably wouldn't pick him in like top 45 or something, just because you don't really need like heavier set players with limited range on your team. You kind of need, like, especially from a backup big, and I think that's kind of what he is. Right. You need, athletes, I guess, like rim runners or just pure skill guys, and he's skilled in the post for sure. He's got great touch around the rim, but I don't really think his skill level is that high. Nwora, I would just kind of stay away from him. He's a good positional defender. He's another guy I put on my report a couple weeks ago. Pretty good positional defender. He can shoot the ball really, really, really well. On the flip side, he's 6'5", maybe 6'6". He's kind of small. And he finished around the rim at 44% in the half court. And to put that into perspective, I don't even know how to do that, but I think his number in the half court is the lowest out of every player I've looked at this year. And just the reports I put out publicly, I think I put out like 33 public reports. I have many others that I have not released, or that like are still in the process of, I guess, kind of finalizing. His is the lowest at the rim, and that's horrible. So, I was talking to some guy from a team a couple weeks ago, and I was saying he's like a 6'5" Anthony Tolliver type. And what is that?
Yeah.
Question. Yeah. What are good finishing numbers at the half court?
Half court.
So the way I do it, so for wings and guards, I remove all. So I'm using a program, I can remove all of isolation. I can filter it completely. So my charts, I remove post-ups because wings are not posting up. I remove putbacks because my goal is just to create to look at the numbers when they're going downhill. And then the transition numbers, because as far as I'm concerned, if you're not finishing 100% of your paint attempts in transition, and I know this isn't possible, like what the hell, that sucks.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, mid 50s, that's kind of like a good area. 50, 50. I think LaMelo was 53 overseas, but he was also playing in a professional league. I try to look for mid 50s. Killian was, I think, 55 or so. I think Theo Maledon, he was around 58, maybe, or 57 last time I checked. Anthony Edwards was, I think he was like 60 or something. It was high for him, which makes sense because, like, on top of being an amazing athlete, he's got awesome touch with both hands. But yeah, mid 50s.
Okay.
And then Peyton Pritchard.
Yeah.
I like him. I wouldn't be opposed to picking him with a second round pick. There's so many good backup point guard types in this draft, whether it's someone like Trey Jones, Cassius Winston. You could obviously roll the dice on somebody who might not come over at all, in Carlos Ellison. Go overseas a little bit more. Rokesh Jokovitis. Definitely botched that name. A little bit further down in the draft, Yam Madar. Undrafted potentially. He's going to go undrafted because he's also like 150 pounds soaking wet. What's his name? Lithuanian point guard. I can picture him. I forgot his name.
Lithuania.
Or Zagars, Artur Zagars.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep. I actually think he's probably a top 3 skilled point guard in the draft. He's just always hurt, and he's very, very slight.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like I like looking at value for picks. So if you can get a similar banded player, and what I mean by that, if you can get someone who has like a similar floor and a similar ceiling, maybe like a little bit lower ceiling but a similarly high floor. Why would you take someone at 30 if you can get someone who's similar to that player at like 40? So yeah, like I'm not opposed to Pritchard in the second round. I just think that it can probably be used a little bit better.
And his last question is LaMelo the can't miss pick that you have to trade for him to get him? Would you trade up to go get LaMelo if you're the Knicks? Is he can't miss?
I mean, I don't know if he's can't like he's not. I don't think a Zion type player.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he's clearly the best player in this draft. And as long as I'm not giving up, like I wouldn't trade next year's pick point blank.
Right.
I wouldn't because, whether it's Cade or Jalen or Jonathan or, Evan or, whoever, it's a really, really good draft. So I wouldn't trade next year's pick, but if I'm like trading, this pick and I don't know, like Kevin Knox, I would do it. This year's pick and, a protected pick in the future, a heavily protected pick in the future. I know, like I'm not trading anything that's not.
I wouldn't. Yeah, I'm not trading any unprotected for next year. That's my thing in terms of
absolutely
trading.
Absolutely not too. I think I mentioned that earlier. I would do Knox though. I would do that.
Yeah. I would trade Kev. Salute to Kev, man. No disrespect, Kev.
I just think basketball, like similar to the way a quarterback can change any franchise's direction in football. I think single players in basketball can do the same thing. And if LaMelo can't take you from a 15-win team to a 40-win team, which I don't think he can. I think he can take you. I think he can make a sizable jump, and I think those guys who can do that are worth trading up for. Obviously, you just don't want to give up everything. So, Leon Rose and whoever's in the front office next year, maybe I don't know, make the right call. Just remember, don't trade unprotected picks.
Please don't do that.
Please, Leon.
Especially next year. Especially next year, don't do that.
Absolutely, man. Salute to everybody in the chat once again. We got a couple super chats in here. Michael Parker sends us a super chat. He says LaMelo is our number 1 pick. We should try to land Bay with the 27th pick. Not sure if he's talking about Tyler Sadiq, probably Tyler. Denny's ceiling, he thinks, is a poor man's deadlift shrimp. He says his floor is Mario Hezonja.
Damn.
What do you think about this Hezonja comparisons, Spencer? I've heard that before, man. People think he could be another Hezonja.
So going back to, I guess, Mario when he was overseas, he had, and this is secondhand information, so it could all be wrong, but again, the person who told this to me is someone I trust. He apparently was not well liked by teammates. He was not known as a hard worker.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Denny is not that. Like Denny, he does everything you want in the court in terms of like little stuff, he's a smart player, but in terms of like his work ethic, I was speaking to an Israeli coach last summer and I asked specifically about Denny and he's like, yeah, so his father is, he's a coach. His father was a basketball player. He played professionally overseas. Denny has that professional attitude where if he misses 3 free throws in a game, which he does, quite often. He's not a good free throw shooter, which I think is all mental. But if he thinks he's a poor game, he's in the gym after the game or early next morning, well before everyone else, getting shots up. Like he is a work maniac. And also Mario was just a lot of projection. He was a good athlete. He was a streaky outside shooter. He was not a great passer. Denny is across the board smarter player. He's a much better passer. He's much more liked by his teammates. He's a much harder worker. He's not a great athlete, but I think he's actually pretty good in a straight line. he plays pretty physically. Like he's thin, but
I found it pretty interesting that he I was watching the Mike Schmidt film breakdown with him that he really likes to play in the post. He likes to go back to the basket as well and make plays from there.
Yeah, well, it was cool. If you can actually go back and watch some of his FIBA stuff, he was doing everything for Israel, whether it was creating out of the post or running pick and rolls. He was like the guy for the team. And so you really got a full sense of his skill package. Yeah, like Denny, he's not Mario. I think that's kind of insulting.
Yeah.
Like in terms of deadlift strength, I can't really speak to that.
Yeah.
That was before my time. It's definitely before my time.
Now,
right?
now you also felt like his shot wasn't as broken as the numbers say, right? I mean, I think some of the knocks on him is that he's a bit inconsistent of a shooter, but you liked, some of his shooting, just how it looked on film. What'd you think about that?
Yeah, so when I'm trying to make a shooting projection, obviously the numbers matter. But I'm a big believer in if you have good form, chances are you can be at least an average to above average shooter. He has good form. He has, I guess, a weird hunch in his back on some shots. Like that obviously has to go, but whatever, 32%, 31%, whatever he shot from three this year, people have to understand that he was given the ball with 5 seconds left and just kind of asked to create time and time again for Tel Aviv. That brought his numbers down heavily. So I posted his shot chart. Was it? I think back in February, maybe. He was at, I think, 41% on catch and shoot threes on 80 attempts outside the final 5 seconds. So from 6 to 24 or whatever. He shot very well from three. The free throw shooting is weird. I can't explain that. I think it's just something in his head. But I can. I mean, maybe not easily see him, but I think it's pretty fair projections to say he'll at least hit league average, which is around 36, 37% from three on 4 or 5 attempts a game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting, man. Jails, anything on your end?
No, man, that makes me feel a little bit better about him because the shooting was a definite concern.
Yeah.
For him. So I mean, the catch and shoot numbers. I would like that, especially if you think he's going to be with the Knicks. I'm not sure what range he'll be in, but that's something that we can use out of that power forward slot to help give us some spacing. So yeah, it's encouraging.
Yeah, man.
I mean, he also had a massive cold spell to end the season. So I guess just to be fully transparent, I looked at it a few days ago. The same thing, catch and shoot numbers, final 5-6 seconds, and from February to whatever it was on Monday. These days it's just kind of today, tomorrow, and yesterday. That's it. The numbers dropped a lot. I think it went back to the lowish 30s, mid. I think it was around 33%, maybe 34%.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was just a cold spell. He went 2 for his last 20 or something like that from three, which it's obviously bad, but he's not a 10% 3-point shooter.
Right.
I only caught one game. I caught the game they played Turkey. I think that was probably the last game that they played, or the second to last. He didn't score at all, but I didn't see much of him this season. Definitely want to salute some more super chats that came in. Salute to B.I. Wells. He says LaMelo, bro. Salute to Brett. And Mr. Durante sends us his $20 super chat. Mr. Durante, we definitely appreciate it. Salute to everybody in the chat. Definitely hit that thumbs up button for your boys. Before we sign out, I just want to go to Dave from Arizona because he was waiting for a minute. This is the last call. Dave, you are the closer for the night. Go ahead with your question, man.
What's good, y'all?
How you feeling, bro?
I don't know, man.
Hey, I'm good, man. So you talking the best shooters in the draft at one point you were talking. And there is no better shooter in the draft than Aaron Nesmith from out of Vanderbilt on Jerry Stackhouse product. You familiar with him?
Yeah. I know Spencer definitely is, but yeah, we know.
Yeah, he more like, a 6'6", like better version of Buddy Hield. You know, I haven't seen him on the mocks, but you know, that if the Knicks wanted to go in that direction as far as shooting, that would be the best option. And if they wanted the power forward position, of course, Obi Toppin. Mm-hmm. Which brings me to my next question. I'm gonna ask you: Is it possible that the Knicks could land Obi Toppin and bring in Chris Paul? Is that possible?
Yeah, why not? Why not? I don't think they would have to put this year's pick in there to go get Chris Paul.
Huh?
I don't think they would have to put this year's first round pick or you know, a pick that would affect this year's draft to go get Chris Paul. I mean, they could go get Obi and trade for Chris Paul. I don't see why that would be an issue.
I can barely hear him. But I can't hear you, man. I'm gonna have to catch you next phone call.
Okay, no problem. I think there was an issue with the switchboard, but yeah. Well, all I was saying was that there shouldn't be an issue. I mean, if they really want to go get Chris Paul, they can make a trade for Chris Paul. That wouldn't necessarily impact this year's draft. I mean, Thunder's sitting on a bevy of draft picks anyway.
I'm back.
So you think they'll take a lower?
What do they do?
Give him the 27th. Keep him moving.
I mean, I don't want to give him anything. it's a keeper.
I want to give him anything too, but Chris Paul was bought on last year. They might be trying to ask for stuff now because he hasn't been injured. They might actually try for stuff.
27, Randall, Ellington, Portis. How much is Chris Paul making? You gotta stack the other side of the scale to get to 40 something, man.
40? Yeah.
That's a lot, man. Portis is at 15. Randall is at what, 17? 15, 17?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's 30 right there. And then you need to probably find another 5 to 10. But yeah, I mean, DSJ. There you go. Okay, fine. Perfect. That's a perfect trade. But I say that to say I wouldn't think that this year's draft and anything would impact. I mean, if they end up in a situation where they get Obi and they really wanted Chris Paul, they could make it happen. I don't see anything, keeping them from doing that.
Exactly.
But yeah, man. Spencer, definitely appreciate you for joining us, man. It's definitely a great show. I don't know when we're going to actually have an NBA draft, but when we do get to that point, once we get to the lottery and so, definitely want to have you back on once we know our position is solidified to really, formulate a strategy and see how we want to go with the lottery pick 27 and 38 as well, man. But go ahead and sign out and let the people know where they can find you, bro.
Well, first, thank you for having me again. I love this. It's a lot of fun. I'm on Twitter with my at SK Perlman. And you can find all my scouting reports are at thestepien.com. I mean, I had them up from last year too, if you guys want to see how I did. I haven't done that. I think I actually did pretty well, but I have no idea. Anyways, Twitter and Stepien.
Yeah.
All right, JL, go ahead, man.
Yeah, before I even get into me, definitely check out the Stepien to read like the breakdown. And he goes into depth. For real. Like
full write-ups.
He'll tell you if he has extra toenail or whatever. It's all in there. It's all in there.
Full write-ups can be found on thestepien.com. Good point, Shields.
Big facts. All right, yeah. But yeah, you know what it is. Check out all episodes of Nigga Time Show. Still working on getting new stuff up. Because we did our pod in person, so we had to kind of switch it up. But definitely check out episodes on youtube.com/Nigga Time Show. Also check all the old episodes on soundcloud.com/Nigga Time Show, and it's on Spotify, and it's on Google and all those platforms as well. Also check out the blog on the niggatimeshow.com. Shout out to my guy Ken, who's writing, and yeah, that's it.
All right, appreciate you fellas again, and salute to everybody that tuned in, man. Great show. Hope you got some of your questions answered. A lot of you guys had questions, couldn't get to all of them, but we appreciate Spencer for coming on, appreciate JLs for coming through as well, and appreciate you guys for tuning in, man. We had over 400 people watching on YouTube. Salute to everybody that was watching on Facebook as well, Twitch, Periscope. We appreciate you guys. Remember, this show is available in audio podcast format, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon Alexa, and Stitcher. So if you can't catch us live on YouTube, you could always catch a podcast version, which will be available later on once the show goes off the air. So once again, salute to everybody for tuning in. Let me just salute to some people in the chat. Salute to all the mods. Appreciate it. JN, I appreciate it. Gregory Castillo, definitely appreciate that. Jaden Diaz, peace. Jim Snyder, appreciate it. Ken Scott in here. Rome, definitely appreciate it. JL, so you want to shout out, man?
Yeah, man. Shout out to my guy Alex Collins. Shout out to my guy Craig. Craig Williams always holds us down so heavy. So shout out to you, Greg. Shout out to Edward Sterling, Hinton Murphy, John Talento. Yo, I seen Germ Warfare. Yeah, Young Simba. Yeah, he was in here earlier.
What's going on?
Shout out to you, Young Simba. Yeah. And yeah, shout out to Ted Green. I guess you 2 shout outs today.
Ted Green, Mrs. Durant, appreciate it. Yeah. Tomorrow night, we'll see you guys tomorrow night. We got a special guest, Gerald Brown. JL, so I was telling you about the story about Gerald Brown, right? So he was a ball boy for the Knicks in the 80s during the Bomb Squad era. Ultimately, works for the Celtics. And something happened with him and Larry Bird. That's all I'm going to say. There's a little issue with him and Larry Bird that happened that changed the outcome of that 1990 comeback win against the Celtics in the playoffs. So you guys are not going to want to miss that story. It's a hilarious story. And tomorrow night, 9:30, we'll be back on the air, man. So Spencer, thanks again. And we'll see you guys tomorrow, man. Peace.